How we doing, everybody? We're back for another episode. We're here in Sutton Place with ASHTON Palmer. That's ASHTON X Palmer on IG.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And Tom Stefaniuk.
Stefaniuk, but whatever you say is perfectly fine with
Tom
me.
Stefaniuk on IG. Let's get it started. Tom, I don't know much about you, as we were saying before, which excites me because
I'm excited too.
every guest I've had here, I've somewhat known them for a little while. I've know a bit of their background. Tom, I just met yesterday.
I met him on the street yesterday. It was complete chance encounter, so we are walking into this cold.
No lies.
Such a New York story.
Right?
It is. We were actually in Union Square. One of my videographers, he's like, let's go do interviews. Let's go to Washington Square Park. I'm like, I'm 36. I can't be seen doing interviews in Washington Square Park. That's not my demographic, and I just can't do that. So we went to Union Square, which I don't know if it was much better, but I think it was.
I think Madison Square was probably like your target demographic.
That's what I said. I was like, Madison Square, somewhere, anywhere in Brooklyn, and I've been thinking about going up to the Cloisters, which I feel like,
yeah, I love
right?
that
You get
area
some
there.
like 65-year-olds you could interview there.
I'm fine with that. I'd rather interview a 65-year-old who did something in life than like these
College kids.
Yeah, college kids and like, millennials with face tats,
Yeah.
which is Washington Square Park. And
Pretty much.
apparently, from what I saw yesterday, Union Square also.
They've leaked over from Washington Square.
Yeah, they're just spreading out everywhere.
Yeah. That's what was that? That Occupy Wall Street, that those people are still hanging on.
Yeah.
Yeah, 14 years later.
Yeah.
Very much so. So you guys met on the street.
Yeah, so we met in Union Square. I know your videographer.
Yep.
He used to sell me shoes, and now is into the content creation game a little bit himself.
And when he was selling you shoes, is that when you first started in the content creation game?
So no, my background, I made YouTube videos full time for 9 years, 8 years, something like that, a long time.
9 years ago, like now.
So
Like
yeah,
2013
I
you
started
started.
in 2013. So I guess I made YouTube videos full time for 8 years until I kind of stepped back into what I'm doing now. But yeah, it was all about sneakers and basketball sneakers, and then built an audience from that. So I was actually able to start traveling a little bit, and the content shifted more into me traveling places and showcasing the cities that I was going to.
So when you started, a New York City guy.
No, so I'm from Canada originally.
You're from Canada.
Wow.
So I grew up in Winnipeg, Canada, which is like right above Minnesota.
Okay.
So I born and raised there. All my family is from there. Lived there until I was 22, 23.
in Canada, do you guys call Winnipeg the Midwest?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
didn't
Midwest
think you
born
were
and
gonna say
raised.
Yeah.
Terrible winters. Not much to do there. And then, yeah, I got to travel a lot from YouTube because you don't really have much of a schedule or anywhere to be. And I just kept on coming back here.
So before we go to where you started, tell me where you are right now. What do you do?
Yeah, great question. So I founded a influencer marketing agency called Small Screen, where we're the intermediary and the back end support for content creators. So we help them with their brand deals, their contracts, invoicing, negotiating fees, appearances.
Do you specialize in brand deals in any specific platform or just the whole
So
gambit?
we are across the board. We have creators on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch. Recently we started working with a couple people that are just on Facebook. So all in all, we represent about 150, 160 creators at this point.
Are creators that are on Facebook, are those boomers?
No, you'd be surprised.
Right?
It's
You'd expect that.
It's like man on the street content. The two people that we work with on TikTok, like pretty much what you were doing or on Facebook, pardon, pretty much what you were doing yesterday of just interviewing people on the street.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And which platform would you say has the most money? Not like which company has the most money, but which has the opportunity to make the most money.
So like 6-9 months ago, it was unquestionably YouTube. Like everything else
Really?
was far and behind YouTube. Now it's probably still YouTube. Like if I had to do a breakdown of where the money's being spent, probably 50% of ad dollars are going to YouTube, 15% are going to Instagram, and then 35% are going to TikTok. But 9 months ago, it was maybe 10% of the dollars were going to TikTok. So it's been a huge spike in. And it's like big name advertisers. Like we just booked a campaign with Chevrolet and we did it with Marriott. And you didn't see those brands advertising on TikTok 6 months ago.
Is this because YouTube maybe had more analytics that you could actually show where their ad, that you could see the ROI on their dollars through YouTube based on analytics that maybe TikTok didn't have?
Yeah, I think TikTok's definitely fleshed out their back end analytics and stuff. Like, you can understand what is happening on the platform a lot better now than you could a year ago.
Right.
But I think with YouTube, lots of brands are looking for conversions, right? Like, they want people to click the link and buy the product or book a hotel room or whatever. And TikTok brands are doing like awareness campaigns.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just as simple as having a brand's logo on your mic in an interview, right? You don't even need to mention the brand name. So it's very much just public awareness and
Product placement.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
not so much focused on conversions from that specific piece of content.
That's nuts. So like I remember February 2020, I had started a podcast. I shot my first
Good timing.
Shot February 2020, shot my first episode, and a few days later, I went to go show apartments to Nick DL, he works under Gary V, and we go to lunch after seeing apartments, me and his girlfriend Erin, and we're sitting there, and I'm telling him about my podcast. He looks at me, he goes, "You're not doing this podcast anymore. You need to cancel your podcast and get on TikTok." I'm like,
That would have been great advice 2.5 years
I'm like,
ago.
Oh, yeah.
dude, at the time, I'm 34. TikTok is a
Well, it
trend.
was teenagers dancing at
It-
that
TikTok
point.
At that point, yeah,
teenagers-
that's all
yeah.
it was.
It was teenagers dancing, and everything had such it had there was so much editing that went into it. There was so much production value. So the level of production value that went into one, at the time, 30-second video, a minute video,
Was a lot.
I thought that wouldn't last. I figured after 4 or 5 videos, 95% of people would be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But then the pandemic hits.
Yeah.
And the like count and the follow count and the algorithm from TikTok
Oh, it was insane.
made people get that much more attention, and it pulled people from Instagram to TikTok, and it made TikTok blow up.
Yeah. No, we have a client that in the span of March 2020 to July 2020 went from 0 followers, didn't even have a single TikTok up on their page, to July 2020 they had 1.6 million followers
Holy cow.
in whatever that is, 4 months.
That's
Did they
crazy.
specialize in a specific topic or something?
No,
or-
so that's the thing. Their entire page is predicated on, they just go on Google and search up like top 5 most popular dog breeds in London or 7 most vicious murders in New Zealand. Like really weird
Searches.
top 5, top 10 lists, and just read them off. It's the most
Interesting.
and just read them
simplistic
off with
thing
like
ever.
a green screen showing like
Yeah.
pictures.
Exactly. And then they're sitting in their desk, they have a mic like this set up, and they just talk to the camera.
So how would someone like that monetize their top 5 readings?
Yeah, great question. So what we've done with them is kind of we'll have the brands approach them, or we'll approach brands, and let's say it's an airline, just for example. Then we'll do a top 10 list of 10 best destinations for beach travel, and then you can link in the sponsor that way, right? Because it pertains to what you're talking about in the top 10.
So are you
lists.
going to do, let's say, the top 10 best places to travel and then do a kayak ad after, or are you going to have the green screen showing searching on kayak?
Yeah, so that really depends. Like, the creators 90% of the time have a lot of creative freedom, because that's why the brands want to work with them, right?
Yep.
They want them to channel their voice to their audience in a way that's going to engage. Generally, like, my recommendation to brands would be the quicker your name comes up in the content, the better. So we would probably push for something like, today we're going to be looking at the top 10 travel destinations in 2022, brought to you by Kayak. And then
Yeah.
at the end of the content, probably have a more in-depth, like, hey, go
So-
on Kayak and get $50 off your flight with this code.
So it comes off as an ad. Like on Instagram, if you post an ad, you have to do a hashtag ad.
Yes.
Is it the same thing with TikTok where you have to fill people in that you're being paid?
Yeah,
for
so
an ad?
that's the interesting thing. I don't know where this started, that you need to do the hashtag ad. You just need to publicly disclose that it's a sponsored content. So
Yeah.
even if you just say sponsored by or brought to you by, you're good. You don't need to do the hashtag ad.
I didn't know that like that was the law or something until the whole Fire Festival thing happened, and all the like Kendall Jenner got sued because she
Yeah.
was posting about Fire Festival as an ad and didn't put
But wasn't
ad.
putting that she
so
was-
it made it look like Kendall Jenner was going to Fire Festival along with the slew of other
Yeah.
people who did that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, 99% of people are not on the scope of the FTC to actually get got for this stuff.
Yeah.
If you're doing a $5,000, $10,000 sponsorship,
Yeah.
no one is ever going to find out whether it was sponsored or not. But yeah, if you're Kylie Jenner, you should probably follow the law on that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Amazing.
So
So,
do you primarily focus on that now and not create content
Yeah,
at all?
I
Or
am,
do you
I
still
am
like
a retired, washed up YouTuber now.
Yeah.
So I did it for so long, and like I love doing it. It was great. Like
Yeah.
I dropped out of college 2.5 weeks after I started college because I hated it. My dad was a lawyer, so that wasn't a pleasant conversation.
were you
with him.
YouTubing at that time?
Yeah. So I started in 11th grade.
Okay.
It was really just for fun, and like back then YouTube was like there's some people that had a full-time income off of it, but like it wasn't a viable career path, right?
Yeah.
Like I knew, well, maybe I can make a few $100 a month if I get an audience off of it.
Was that the goal from the start, or was it just to
That was kind of the
do
goal.
You?
That was
right. So your
well,
goal was to put out
I
content.
wanted to do stuff
then
that I
get ad
enjoyed.
dollars.
I think the primary reason was I thought it was cool.
Right.
But
In 11th
also-
grade, you don't need the money, so you're doing it to try and see. I think this is cool. I'm going to put it out there, and if I think it's cool, other people probably will too.
Exactly. And then, I found out you can make money. I think after 3.5 months of me making YouTube videos, I got like a $104 check from Google in the mail. And it was like the greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
And my mom's looking at me like, this took you 3.5 months of like
make
hours a day of work. And I'm like, yeah, but I only got this many views.
Yeah.
So imagine if I can get this many views.
If it keeps
and I think I
growing.
was kind of hooked. Like, my grades in 12th grade definitely suffered because I would spend all my free time making YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And my parents thought I was delusional, and rightfully so, because I was making $100 a month at this point.
Yeah.
But I kept on telling them, if I don't treat this like a full-time job, it will never become a full-time job. And I'm really glad I had that mindset when I was 17.
Well, also
Yeah.
that you had the parents that didn't say "fuck you" and we're taking your equipment away. Do better in school. Whereas there's some parents that might have done that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think my mom definitely vied for me. She was a fashion designer,
Yes.
so she's
Oh,
in a
she's
more
creative, so she got
She
it.
understood, yeah, she understood the creative side of things.
But yeah, so then graduated high school, I was going to go into product marketing at business school, and did 2.5 weeks of that, and was ready to off myself if I had to do another 4 years of it. So I dropped out without telling my dad. He found out like a month and a half later, was not too pleased about it. And at that point, I don't know, maybe I was making $1,500 a month off of YouTube at that point.
Yeah.
So it was not like, oh, I'm going to go chase this lucrative career path.
Right, but if you look at your trajectory and your percentage growth of income for the 2 years, you were at like 500x.
Yeah, exactly. When you look at it like that, then yes, exactly. So yeah, I stuck with it, and fast forward to 2015, 2016, then it was legitimate full-time income, and I got a bunch of opportunities to travel around the world.
So
and
that was how many years into it though? did
so
it
I
become
started
full-time income?
2013, and then I'd say it was probably legit full-time income by 2015.
Okay.
So it was a good 2 years.
I feel like a lot of people get into the YouTube space now, and they expect that they're going to make
Oh.
a lot of money up front.
Absolutely.
And it takes some time.
It
you have
takes
to
a
build
lot
an
of time.
audience. I mean, I have a YouTube channel too,
Yep.
and I try to push out videos, but I'm still.
How long does it take you to produce one video? From press play on the camera, location, press play, to final product, thumbnail made, boom,
Yeah.
published?
So I mean, the videos that I've filmed have primarily been like day in the life kind of videos of being a real estate agent
Vlogs.
in New York, stuff like that. Yeah. So I'll film just like randomly throughout the day, but when it comes to editing and putting the thumbnail and everything else together, that takes about 5-6 hours.
That's the tough part, right?
And that's the thing where it's like, it's hard being an agent and having to also do all that yourself. So that's primarily what I do. So it's easy. I get in these stages where I'll burn out and then I'll take a break for a
Yep.
little bit and then I'll get back on it and burn out a little bit and come back. But I just have accepted it. That's just like a roller coaster ride, but
Yeah.
eventually it'll pan out.
And that's why it's good to just keep filming and shoot a lot.
Oh yeah.
So that you have stuff in a folder ready to rock. When you're
Yeah.
burnt out, you could still be putting stuff out, and maybe not as frequently, but you're still not going on a week, 2 week lull.
Oh yeah.
I think someone that does that really good, I'm sure you've seen his videos, is Cash Jordan.
Oh yeah, he does
Because
really good job
his
at it.
videos are so simple.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you they take him like an hour to film. but
And they
it
get like
looks
70, 80,000 views
yeah,
on
and
them.
it
like,
looks like you've gone through his entire day with them.
yeah.
But, being behind the scenes and kind of understanding how they're filmed, it probably takes him an hour and a half, 2 hours to film, max.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's definitely cut it down to a specific way he edits,
yeah.
though, where it's
Yeah.
quick. But
Right. Well, he's been doing it for as long.
Yeah,
that he's
again, it
got
takes
the recipe
time.
that works for Cash.
yeah, it takes time to build and do what's best for you the way you work. So,
So how many subscribers are you up to now?
I mean, I'm nothing. I
600, 1200.
I think I'm at 730 something. 700.
Okay, you've done the hardest part. Getting from 0 to like 500, 700.
Yeah.
That is.
I know. See, I'm waiting. I'm like, oh, I want to get to 1,000, and then I can start making some money. But it's hard when you have that in mind that, oh, I can make money eventually from it, because you want to just keep going until you get there. But
what would Kanye do?
He would just do it.
Exactly. He wouldn't worry about getting to 1,000, right? Kanye would just do it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't worry about getting burnt out, because he knows that getting burnt. He would film himself burnt out.
Yeah.
And that's a video right there.
Mm-hmm.
Ashton's burnt.
Yeah.
And you could even have like a thumbnail of you with a terrible sunburn. That's clickbait right there.
Yeah. It's just about creating content and
just
taking up as much real estate online as possible at the end of the day, I feel like.
Well, and it's like, if you've ever had a better example of the snowball effect, I don't know if there is one in social media. Like the first 5, 10, 15 subscribers, it's fucking impossible to get those.
Yeah.
Because you have who's supposed to recommend the videos? No one's watching them, right? How's the algorithm supposed to know that people like the content if no one's watching it? And you get to that point of, you get a few hundred people watching, and then it starts to really snowball. My financial advisor started making YouTube videos, and he's been at it for about 2 years.
Do you manage it?
Yeah, okay. We work with him. So he's at the point where he's making a couple $1,000s a month off of it now, and it's a nice little side money for him. But he's been doing it for 2 years, and I think he gets like discouraged. He's like, but you had this huge channel getting all these views, and I have to remind him, like, dude, you were farther ahead than I was after 2 years. Yeah. Like by all metrics, money, views, subscribers, he's doing better than I was.
Yeah, it's crazy. But what's cool about YouTube is, like, even when you don't have a whole lot of subscribers, like especially when you don't have a lot, each new subscriber you get,
it's like, so exciting.
It's so exciting because you're like, this person actually cares to watch my videos.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You get an email saying like blah 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 has subscribed.
Well, I think I actually turned that off.
Yeah,
but
they do send
every
you
now
an
and
email
then.
every time, but it gets ridiculous.
I get on YouTube and I'll check every now and then, and you'll get like notifications for it. And like I prefer getting YouTube subscribers than I will like an Instagram follower.
Right.
Because like it's like, okay, these people are actually taking in my content and listening to what I have to say, when Instagram is just like so in and out.
Yeah. Does YouTube have an algorithm, or not analytics, where you can see how much your subscriber, like your average subscriber is watching? If you have 1,000 subscribers, you could see 10-minute video, the average watch time is.
The metrics are incredible on it. Like you could see right where the dip off in retention is. So if you have a boring part of the video, it'll show you like, hey, you dropped your view retention by 25% here. You could see parts that people are rewatching. You can see, which people are subscribers that are watching this versus which people are new viewers. You can see what country they're in, what age they are. Like you can get a really robust understanding.
Which a lot of the videos you can see, it's when people do place ads in their videos, that's when you'll see a lot of the drop off.
Yeah. So Ashton's at about 730 subscribers, not followers.
Right. We'll put you at 731 after this.
731.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
How do we get him
exciting.
Over 1,000? Like what type of stuff other than personal outreach and sending his videos to people and asking them to subscribe, which I always think of entrepreneurs in the past who I've coveted, and I always go to like Sarah Blakely. And I think if Sarah Blakely were to start a YouTube channel and she wanted 1,000 followers, she would go through her phone book and she would send a video to every single person in her contact list and say, hey, I'll Venmo you $1 if you subscribe to this right now. Once you subscribe, I'll send you $1. And she would send $1 to everybody. Now, I don't think you're going to do that, but but I think of like this guerrilla marketing tactic that she would do. What are some things that someone can do to up their subscribers?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing that's important to think about too is, what are you aiming for, right? Because I think engaged people watching, if you can get 1,000 people to really care about what you're doing, that's better than having 100,000 subscribers, right? Like you can have 1,000 people that will buy something from you or watch every single video you post. Like that's where the value is, right? Not from having vanity metrics. So I almost think like, and unfortunately, if you tell all your friends you're starting a YouTube channel, most of them will be like, oh, that's cute. Like if you tell, I started listing apartments, they're like, oh, that's cool. Until you all of a sudden sell a $5 million condo, then they want to pay attention to it, right? So your friends will care once you've already made it. As unfortunate as that is, but I think the most important thing to do, and this sounds cliched and isn't, some magic wand solution, is just to make content that you genuinely care
Enjoy
about.
making.
And
yeah.
you will find people that also genuinely enjoy watching it, right? And it's not going to happen overnight. I think, you see some overnight success stories, and that makes it, seem discouraging of like, this guy put up 3 videos, and now he has 200,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Here I am. But, like, cliched example, Mr. Beast had like no subscribers after 7 years of doing YouTube,
And
right?
took
Until
off.
he found his thing that clicked with both him and his audience.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what I really honestly have tried to focus on is I've chosen like a few things that I want my core audience to enjoy, which is something I really enjoy. It's either my audience likes New York, they like real estate and fitness. And it's like, those are like the like-minded people that will most likely follow my channel. But that's what's great though, is you really get to build your own community on there, which is really cool. And I feel like you can't really, you can build a really strong community on other platforms, but I feel like YouTube is the most transparent.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You really get to know someone in YouTube. And I think you're uniquely positioned where, we walk around the city here and it just feels, kind of normal to us.
Yeah.
But, the other 7.99 billion people on Earth that don't get to walk around here every day, they're fascinated by it.
Well, and that's how I used to be one of those people. Like when before I moved to New York, the first person I watched on YouTube is Eric Conover and his vlogs. And it's funny, now we're friends, but back in the day, I started following him when he had less than 2,000 subscribers. And so I know what it's like being the viewer looking into the bubble of New York in a way. And it's really cool from the outside.
And even like real estate, like we're in this beautiful condo right now.
Yeah.
But in Missouri, this is probably $250,000. So that shock factor of people that don't live here watching this tour of a building and being like,
the comments that some of my listings get on TikTok. From people in Middle America, like showing like, this 3,600 square foot carriage house is $10 million, and then just the Middle America comments, and then the comments at those people like, you live 45 minutes from the nearest Walmart. Of course.
I feel like the comment sections on the apartments that like we'll post and stuff are the best because people just like have so many different opinions about what it's worth and what it's not. It's great. It's so funny.
Yeah, the amount of that's a waste of money comments is
and I'm just like, honestly, keep commenting, boost my engagement.
Yeah, right.
Keep it
when I moved to the city. So I did the most crazy thing possible that you can do when moving to New York is I signed a lease sight unseen on an apartment.
Oh, that was, when did you move?
This 2019.
Okay, I was gonna say that was like all 2020. And before you say, when the pandemic first hit, I in the first 2 weeks rented an apartment through TikTok, and it was all sight unseen.
It's
crazy.
So I made this apartment tour, and I lucked out. It was a beautiful place. It was on West 81st, right by the Museum of Natural History, right by the park. And it was this pretty big studio apartment, and I was paying $1,550 a month.
You got a FaceTime tour though, right?
No, I just got the pictures. That's it.
Oh, that's
like,
the sketchiest.
Like 3 pictures, like one picture, a bathroom, a kitchen, or
was
like,
it on Craigslist?
It was good pictures. It was on Street Easy. So
that's a little better.
Yeah, but I lucked out. I got this beautiful place, so I made a YouTube tour of it, and I'm paying $1,550 for like beautiful location.
Yeah.
And these people are like, you could have a 5-bedroom house in Arkansas. I'm like, yeah, but I'd also be in Arkansas. So,
not a block from Central Park.
yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
I love that. Wait, so that's where you started. You moved to New York in 2019. You had to have had like a rock bottom moment, somewhere where you were about to quit.
Kind of, yeah. Like
when did you have your burnout where you're like, fuck this, I'm done, I got to figure something else out?
It's really interesting. My rock bottom burnout was also probably the best point in my career because it forced me to make a transition where like YouTube pays great. You can make a lot of money off of YouTube and it's fun and you have no real time commitments. You can do whatever you want. But I always had pretty high goals for myself and YouTube's relatively scalable, but it's still just you and you're relying just on your income and just on your manpower and personality and whatever to engage people.
And you're doing this all on your own.
I'm doing this all on my own. So I always knew I wanted to do something more, right? Like I wasn't going to create generational wealth making vlogs. Unfortunately, I just wasn't that talented. So after doing it for 8 years, honestly, I just got tired and burnt out of need to go film another video. Need to go film another video. And you do that, like I have 1,500 videos probably that I've uploaded on my channel.
Wow.
and it just got so repetitive, and I think it started to come through in my videos, and so my audience wasn't enjoying it anymore. And you know, I wanted to make content that they enjoyed, but I didn't enjoy making the content, and it was probably 6 months of me being ridiculously stressed out about it. And I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
And where were you living at this time?
I was here already, so this was probably during the pandemic, because everything was shut, and all of a sudden, you know, my running around the city with my friends' New York vlogs weren't happening anymore.
Yeah.
So that made it even worse, because I didn't know what to make content about. And and I kind of made this decision of, okay, it's now or never. I need to make this transition to what I know I want to do eventually, which is, you know, start a business that's more scalable, and, you know, something that I can be a little bit more zoomed out on, because YouTube, you're so focused on what is today's video, where now I can think, okay, what are we going to do in Q4 of this year, instead of what are we going to do
Fucking
today.
love that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the pivotal moment where it's like, I am not enjoying this anymore, and then decided to start small screen. And I was still making YouTube videos at the time, and I mean, starting a new business is, you know, less than easy. You need to convince people, hey, I know we have zero track record. My only clients are my friends.
Right, but you did have somewhat of a track record
Yes.
from what you did on your own.
Absolutely. That helped bake in some legitimacy into our pitch, is, hey, I did this myself for the last 8 years, and I was helping some of my friends, which were
Right, but
you know, pretty
that's real. Like,
prominent
look, like
YouTubers.
Steve Nash coaches the Brooklyn Nets. It's not like he didn't have a coaching job before that, but he was a two-time MVP.
No, that's a good comparison.
Two-time MVP, a Canadian,
Canadian
and he had the experience.
Yeah. So it was slow at the beginning. Like, you know, first 9 months, we didn't really get any momentum or traction. I think that's, you know, typical with most new businesses. So it took, you know, almost a year to really see the progress of signing clients and building relationships with brands, and, you know, getting some real revenue coming in the door. But, you know, fast forward now, I guess a touch over 2 years, and, you know, we have a team of 13 awesome people that are working at Small Screen, and we have 150 clients, and 150 happy clients, hopefully, knock on wood, and it's going really well.
Is it a revolving door in the sense? Do you have like 150 clients, and it goes down to 120, up to 160?
No, so I'm really proud of our retention rate. Like, we really try and be more than just someone that emails them every couple of weeks with a brand deal. Like, we are there for their questions. I mean, I know firsthand.
How do you manage 150 clients?
So we have 6 talent managers that all deal with around 20, 25 creators a piece, and we try and separate those into content niches. So one guy just does men's fashion and streetwear, another person just does travel, another person is just doing women's lifestyle. So they can really understand the content niche, understand the brands that are advertising in that space, and then really get, you know, you have enough time to know 20 people. You can't know 150 people. Truth be told, I've never seen the content of some of our clients, just because I don't have the time to do it.
Right, but you're the you call yourself the CEO or the founder?
It sounds a little pretentious to say CEO, but
I hate when
founder.
people say CEO when it's
a 13-person
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I mean, I see that all the time. Like, I see, you know, people will have in their TikTok or their IG bio, like, CEO. It's like,
Yeah, CEO of their one-person marketing.
Yeah.
It's like, you're an independent contractor who is a real estate broker with 6 people who work under you. You're not the CEO of your team.
Yeah.
You're
I like founder though.
Yeah.
Founder's great.
Founder and I like founder and owner.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when you think of CEO, it's like, oh, they like the power. They just want to tell people what to do. Where it's like the founder, like, yeah, you founded it, but you still help out and you get dirty sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone that I've hired knows way more than I do. So I've kind of like cut myself out of the job. Like, I have nothing left to do. I just kind of sit around. I'm like, well, I could do that, but someone that I hired could do a better job of that. So I don't really know what to do anymore, which I guess is a good problem to have.
It's a great problem.
Yeah, because isn't that the goal, to hire people that can do the job better than you anyways?
That's the goal. It doesn't always work out perfectly.
Yeah.
But we're doing good so far.
That's what's up. So, 3 words of advice for someone trying to grow their YouTube channel.
3
For
words of
Ashton.
advice.
For Ashton.
Okay, Ashton.
And for me. Because this is going on YouTube.
Consistency has got to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
Define consistency.
So it doesn't have to be, you don't need to upload every day, or you don't need to upload a lot of videos. But if you're going to decide, hey, every second Friday there's going to be a video, then there needs to be a video every second Friday. Like, people get into routines the same way they know that their favorite TV show is on Thursday night. Like, they want to watch your videos. And if all of a sudden the second Friday there is no video, then they're going to kind of forget about you and move on to the next one. So consistency is key. I'd say On top of that, lots of people try and game the algorithm. They're like, what can I do that will, put me in the algorithm or search recommendations? And you can do that, and it might help you a little bit, but at the end of the day, if people click on your content and it's not good, they're not going to come back.
Yeah.
So, I'd say also if you make amazing content and it's not algorithm friendly, people are still going to find it and stick with it, right? So more than trying to game the algorithm or how can I strategically title it, which is sort of important.
Strategically title, does that go title plus thumbnail?
Yeah, title plus thumbnail and tags and description and all of that. Just make sure the content is good first and foremost. Like, I think Casey Neistat's a great example. He has the most terrible thumbnails and titles ever.
Yeah.
But his content was so good that it didn't matter. You just click on it every single day, regardless of what the title was, right?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Casey Neistat.
You know
The guy on the boosted board with the sunglasses.
If you saw him,
If I saw him, I'd probably be like,
you
oh,
would definitely
of course.
recognize. He was like the OG New York vlogger.
Got it.
So I do actually have one other question. Do you feel like when it comes to YouTube videos though that it should be like under 10 minutes or is like going over 10?
It depends. Like we have clients that make 5-minute videos and they do amazing. We have clients that do half an hour videos and they do amazing. Like we have this one girl. It's fascinating. She does tarot card readings. Every single video gets like 250,000 views. They're an hour long, and their watch retention is like 45 minutes plus. So people are sitting there watching this tarot card reading for 45 minutes.
That's so interesting.
So it really depends on what
it just depends on what you're making.
Yeah.
But does someone like that grow their following by having, let's say, a celebrity, like she did a tarot card reading with Matthew McConaughey or something of that sort, so people were watching that, and now she is doing tarot card readings for people with clout, or did she get her own clout?
No, she built it up herself, and like that can definitely be a catalyst for growth. Like you can have one video of you guys could have a $130 million penthouse tour next week, and that would bring in viewers.
Right.
But then if they watch next week's video and it sucks, then it didn't really do you any good, right? It got you views on one video.
Yeah.
So I think having those big flashy, whether it's celebrities or one crazy video, it brings in an audience, but then you still need to back it up with the content the next video too.
Yeah.
So trying to consistently having the same content that's valuable to your subscribers, because do you think that one video could have someone not come back at all?
I mean, maybe if it's the second video they've watched.
Well, not for nothing. When you post a new video and you publish a new video, they get an email, they get a push notification that a new video was posted. So unless they unsubscribe, they're going to keep knowing when you're putting up new videos.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, people will be aware of it, but I think, as much as you can build a personal connection on YouTube, it's still like people that don't know you, right?
Yeah.
So all it takes is a couple times of them not being entertained by your video, and they'll find someone else. And by no fault of their own, like they want to be entertained on YouTube, and maybe their taste changed. Maybe you're still doing a good job, but they've matured or moved on to a different hobby or whatever the case may be. So it's fickle. Like you feel like you have this dedicated audience, but then you have a down month, or maybe you're in a bad mood, or you got some other stuff going on in your life, so your content suffers, and all of a sudden your loyal audience is slightly less loyal than they were before.
Yeah.
So what do you think? So like we were talking with ASHTON, like getting burnt out. Do you think then putting out content, letting your audience know that you're burnt out, and like, hey, I'm burnt out, even if it's a quick clip,
that
that's
can
engageable?
If it's once,
maybe I just made that
that's
word
fine.
up.
But if
It becomes a slippery slope of channels where it is apology video after sorry I've been gone
Oh,
video
you never want to see
after
that.
I'm back video.
Just keep that to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes, exactly.
If anything, like I feel like it's okay for your audience to miss you every now and then
Yeah,
too. 'Cause
exactly.
then when you do upload that video, especially if they were a good audience, then they're like, oh shit, Ashton just uploaded a video. It's
As
been a
long
little
as it's
while.
a dope video.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, I've taken a 2, 3, 4 week lull, and now I'm putting out this half-ass video.
Oh yeah.
It needs to be
they
fire.
wanna see that,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're gonna take a break and then you come back, they need to be excited that you're back. They can't be, this is okay.
Yeah.
That's when you lose them.
All right. So content-wise, what's hot right now?
Man on the street stuff. We probably our most lucrative sponsorships are coming in for our TikTok clients that are interviewing people in Washington Square Park. So maybe a piece of advice to you to go back to Washington Square Park.
Wait, is it go to Washington Square Park or just go to a park? Well, we're in New York City. I understand Washington.
You get the characters of Washington Square Park.
Yeah, you do. They're all like blowing down and then ready to answer questions at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
You get like respectable tax-paying citizens in Madison Square Park.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get that at Washington Square Park.
Right, but I feel like for my audience, I want...
Well, who is your audience? That's the question.
That's a good question. I guess it's more so who would I want. I guess my audience is going to define itself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that safe to say?
So it depends what you want. Like if you want social media to generate business and revenue in and of itself, then, make the content that appeals to the broadest scope of people. But if you're trying to generate leads and sales through it, then you probably, the 21-year-old isn't going to be of much use to you,
right?
Because they're not going to be buying or leasing anything from you.
Unless I'm talking to them about their opinion on $5 million and $10 million apartments and their opinion on high rent. Just real estate related questions with high net worth type of questions and answers. But essentially, I'm not putting out content to get buyers. I'm putting out content because I enjoy putting out content.
Yeah.
I enjoy interviewing people on the street. I enjoy sitting down, podcasting, doing apartment tours, and doing stuff that I think is dope.
Yeah.
This show doesn't have a name. It just doesn't need a name. Maybe a name will come, but it's just the show that has no name yet. I do it because I want to do it. That being said, I want to be looked at from people. I don't want to be looked down upon from buyers with a high ticket price listing, whether it's
and be like, oh, I can't trust this guy.
I can't trust this guy. So that's why going to Washington Square Park, that's the guy who was, interviewing the kids. That's the guy who was interviewing the girl who was putting perfume on her face during the entire interview in Washington Square Park. The guy with the face tattoos. That's not the guy that I want connected to my listing. So that's why.
Yeah. That's the tricky line to toe, I guess, right?
So that's why if I can try and pull the same type of responses, it wouldn't be the same type of responses, but similar questions, and maybe ask them in a more eloquent way, because I'm at Washington Square Park or Brooklyn Heights over by the piers. If I get enough respectable people to give me fun answers, it could snowball.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So you both said yeah automatically. Not like, probably not.
No, I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, there's something really addicting about just watching people answer questions. Because, like, it's 10 seconds, then it's a new person pop up, right? So it's people have such short attention spans these days. And I think that's why this format is doing so well the past year.
100%.
It's just every 10 seconds there's a new person.
Ashton, what other questions you got?
I don't know, I could sit here for another couple hours asking questions. So,
all right. So usually we end the show with seeing what books everyone's reading. Tom, what are you reading, and what book would you recommend for anybody to read?
Great question. What am I reading right now? I was reading San Francisco by Michael Schellenberger, which is about how West Coast progressive governments haven't done a good job of handling homelessness and drug addiction and stuff. So that was a bit of a departure from my regular stuff, but it was a good book. Usually, I think, if you're a young person trying to get into business or do something for yourself or be successful, some really good books that I've read on that would be Drive by Daniel H. Pink, and that sort of goes into the psychology and motivation. And then there's a really good one I read a few months ago called Range by David Epstein, which kind of looks at how generalists and people that are proficient in multiple things versus an expert in one thing tend to succeed more in the modern economy, and kind of going into the reasons behind that. So those would be two good books that I recommend.
You have any book that you look at as like your Bible?
Honestly, no. I think, I read a lot. Like, I read probably a couple books a week. So I think it's just picking and choosing little bits from, if I can learn one interesting thing from a book, I'm happy with that book. So it's just taking little bits that really resonate with you from each book.
Yeah.
Ashton, a book recommendation?
Book recommendation. Well, I'm not reading anything right now. I've just primarily been reading a lot of news articles in regards to real estate with everything that's crazy that's going on.
That's terrible.
But one book that I would recommend would definitely be a book by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. I've read that book, I think 3 times. And I usually do it at the beginning of each year.
Paperback or Audible?
Paperback, and then so the third time that I read it though, I read it while listening to the Audible, because My first book that I
I've
read
never
like
done
that.
that before.
It's
Sounds
actually
awesome.
it changed the way I like read now because it just makes it so much easier and you can just listen to it as you go. Just make sure you put it on like 2 times the speed.
Okay.
I usually read faster than they read it online. But the book's amazing. It's just like the perseverance and like the consistency, like we were talking about, that he talks about in that book and everything that he went through. It really kind of helps you just get a different perspective on life, and just helps you realize like we generally only push ourselves to like 30 to 40% of our capability, but there's so much farther we can push, and he really digs into that in the book. So I highly recommend it. It's great.
all up here.
It's all up there, and
Yeah.
that's what the whole book really is about. It's about winning the mind games and that play on and on in your head when you feel like you can't go anymore. So it's a very good book, and I read it at the beginning of each year because I feel like it sets the tone for like the year and be like, all right, it's time to get into things. So
You're the second person this week. Today's Wednesday. You're the second person this week that has recommended that book.
that doesn't.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
put
doubt
it-
that.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it at the top of my list.
You have to. It's like that's when someone asks me like what should I read, what should I watch, so on and so forth, it takes me like a few minutes to like think about it, but that's the first thing that immediately pops in my mind when someone asks me that question. So highly recommend.
I appreciate you.
Of course.
Ashton X Palmer on IG. My dude Tom.
for having me.
Tell him where to find you.
Tom Stefaniuk on Instagram, or if you want to check us out at smallscreenmarketing.com as well.
Smallscreenmarketing.com. Check them out. I'm TMB, and we're here at 418 East 59th Street, 9B. Going on the market this week, went on the market this week. Later.